Welcome. Please take a seat. You are here for a tarot card reading, is that correct? Yes, I just checked it in my diary there. You made an appointment already, didn't you? Okay. Well, before every tarot card reading, I do like to just get a general sense of each patron's aura. These are just things that I like to hold. They are a way of focusing on somebody's aura, yes. But also, when I read the tarot, or when I read the aura, to have something that you can hold on to helps focus the mind. You know, I remember hearing tales of old tarot card readers who would hold a coin or a lucky charm in their hand while they read the tarot, just to be able to focus on what they're seeing and what they're interpreting. But first, I'm just going to read your aura. I feel an orange-red-like aura from you. I'm just seeing if it responds to this orange-red light. Which it seems to be doing. Just follow the light. Very good. So all this means nothing specific. It just literally means that you will be in a more perceptive mode. And a red aura suggests that the things you're going to hear are towards more of a warning than they are a confirmation. Okay, so try to heed what you hear. Try to heed what you hear and think about any potential learnings. Warning is too strong a word. Learning is a more accurate word. So I'm going to pick several cards for you. But the first thing I would like to do is to give your aura a quick cleanse to make it less about warning and more about insight. I shall augment it with an earthen-like smell. Keep us grounded. The scent has neurobinders in it. The scent from the cleanser, that is. That means that you smell what you wish to smell, the most relaxing thing, or the most peaceful thing. Right now I smell pine. Like pine trees. I've never actually smelled a real pine tree, so I have no idea what. The forests were long gone, and I never lived anywhere with forests, even when they were here. But apparently they are quite accurate. Very good. So what shall be our first card? Strength. And it seems we are going to be using the circus of the ether. It's different every time. Different cards, different themes for different people. The circus of the ether is an old-fashioned mythical place. Hence the fairground circusy motif you're going to see throughout here. It's been a little while since I used these ones. Typically less used, more rare. What links you to the circus or the fairground? It could be, yes, it could be something to do with historic nature as well of yourself. By that I mean your family. Interesting. Well, you've started strong. You started with strength. Strength, of course, stands for strength. It stands for courage, persuasive influence, and compassion. Now, when tarot was originally read, the orientation of the card was incredibly important. You can see that this card is the right way up. Now, if the card had been upside down, that would be called strength reversed. I tend not to look at things like that. I've read tarot for a very long time, and although it can be true that the reverse will teach you specific things, but I find it better not to separate the two meanings and maintain the duality of the cards. When it's reversed, the opposite, of course, is inner strength, not weakness, inner strength, but also self-doubt, low energy, and raw emotion. Raw emotion, of course, can be very detrimental. Interpretation. I think the first card, it's always wise to wait until we have the second before we interpret. The cards should link together. They should tell a specific story. They shouldn't just be viewed in isolation. So what do we have next? We have the Fool. The Fool is marked as 0 in the tarot deck. And the reason the Fool is 0 is because the Fool transcends the major arcana. Why does the Fool transcend the major arcana? Well, because he's you. He's me. He's everyone. He is the journey throughout. And that's what the Fool stands for. Beginnings. But also you can see here the use of white, which also signifies innocence. The Fool has an element of spontaneity to them. A free spirit, I think you would call them. Yes. Now, reversed, of course, it suggests holding back. And that free spirit can turn very easily into recklessness and risk-taking. So I see strength when I see the Fool. So it suggests to me an element of adventure upcoming that will require your inner reserves, It will also require you to be careful of potentially recklessly continuing with a plan. Make sure whatever you're considering in the future, you just spend a little bit more time considering the potential outcomes of this event. But on the whole, 2 cards only, it seems very positive with regards to its portents and a very positive journey. You can see the small white dog again, an element of innocence, an element of adventure, but also loyalty. So it's just giving us a little tip of the hat to say that you can be a very loyal person, defensive of your friends. Let's see what else we have. The Hanged Man. Of course, we have our circus performer here, hanging upside down. Hanged sounds incredibly negative, doesn't it? But we can see here that this person isn't forced to be in this position. This person is a performer. They're choosing to be placed in this different position. They're delighting the crowd with their show of ability, an unusual flexibility. Now the Hanged Man suggests a certain element of surrender, but not surrender in a bad way. Sometimes you surrender yourself to sometimes you can surrender yourself to a different way of looking at things, a different way of seeing things, a different perspective. And this is what the Hanged Man has. You can see a different perspective. Sometimes looking at things from different angles will help you overcome a problem. Now we have seen strength and the Fool, but we've also seen this element of looking at things from a new perspective. Reversed, of course, the Hanged Man suggests delays and resistance, stalling, indecision, things like this. But I don't see that when linking the 3 cards together. No. What I see is a journey that requires a large element of inner strength and also planning that has a great potential for challenge if not approached correctly. But where does the Hanged Man come into this? Well, perspective. Does that mean to us that this might not be a physical journey? Looking at something from a different angle. Is that an emotional journey? But sometimes emotional journeys are the most interesting of all journeys. There used to be an author, long time ago, by the name of Tolkien. He wrote a lot of books, trilogies, Lord of the Rings. It was a high fantasy. I believe there are still complete copies of all of his works, actually. I don't think any of them were lost during the uprisings. And there is an element of autobiographical nature to these things. So these worlds, high fantasy worlds that this Tolkien built, very different from large green fields to desolate volcanoes and everything that's in between. So if it's a certain element of autobiographicalness, presumably this man was very well travelled. Although I remember reading he wasn't very well travelled. He only left his country, which was a small country at the time, England, very few times, only a few handfuls of times, and even then he just travelled not very far, to a neighbouring country, I believe. Sometimes the biggest journeys and the most exciting journeys happen in our minds. They don't necessarily happen when travelling somewhere else. That is certainly true for myself. I have been around a long time, and most of my most important travelling has happened without moving, without leaving a room, and entirely on my own. What do we have next? The Empress. Okay, this conflicts slightly with our initial interpretation of an emotional journey, because the Empress stands, of course, for femininity, but also nature, beauty, abundance. So I hear nature and I start to think, you're pulling me back to this being a physical journey as well as an emotional journey. The Empress also, though, in a reverse sense, does identify a block in creativity. And I can see that you are a creative person. Perhaps it's due to a dependence on others. Perhaps you're awaiting something that will help you find the solution to this blockage. Perhaps it is something internal yourself. But I feel like you are going to be returning, hence this journey, you're going to be returning to the highest, going beyond. You're going to be going to the highest level of your creativity very soon. And that's going to allow you to pursue this particular journey. What do we have next? The Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune for me always represents a natural break in the reading. If it becomes at the beginning of a reading, then, well, that has very interesting implications. If it comes at the end of a reading, then that almost invalidates everything that is said before, because it suggests that there is an element of luck to everything that has been discussed. So, I wouldn't say random, but an element of arbitrariness to the things that we've heard. But when it comes in the middle, it suggests a break, a new reading, almost like you have two readings in one. We've covered your first reading, which was travel, adventure, improvement, strength. But now, what brings the Wheel of Fortune? I was only going to bring two more cards, the wheel being the penultimate. But the fact that it is the Wheel of Fortune, I feel we need to draw three cards, including this. Now, the Wheel of Fortune, it stands for cycles, good luck, bad luck, change. Things that could be turning points, hence why it's a natural break in a reading. But those turning points and those breaks can also be a break of a negative cycle. Negative cycles. Perhaps. Perhaps the journey is going to take you to a place where you break a negative cycle, or a negative type of thinking, or something you're struggling with. Shall we see? Well, so let's see what we have next. This is interesting. The ether. Now, the ether is specific, I believe, to the Carnival deck only. Yes, in the Enlightenment deck there is the well, which is possibly the closest thing to it. But no, it is specific to the Carnival deck, and not all decks have specific cards either. So that is curious. The ether. Now that the ether talks of things beyond our reach. So, understanding without understanding. Intuition, if you will. Following a gleam. I think that's what it's called. Merlin the Gleam, following a gleam. Just knowing that there's something interesting and exciting to be followed. Following a gleam. It talks of two-way and one-way doors, the ether. It can also mean straying from a path. Sometimes when one goes into the ether, there is no way back. And I think that's an important concept in your stage of your life right now, which is the door concept, or the portal concept, or the ether concept. Let's think of it as a portal for now, or a door into a different realm. There are two types of doors. There are one-way doors, and there are two-way doors. Now, if you were to step through a two-way door, and the decision you've made, maybe you have 3 two-way doors in front of you, and the decision you make is something that you regret, or you don't want to continue down this path. Well, it's a two-way door, so you can come back out, and you can try again. Now, there are some decision points and some events in life that are one-way doors. If you are going to go through a two-way door, you can quickly go through and then decide to return. That's fine. Sometimes it's best to make a good decision now than a great decision later when the opportunity is past. But not so with one-way doors. And it looks like potentially a one-way door might be coming your way. When you see something that you must make a decision on that will have repercussions, that cannot be undone, and it is a poor plan that can't be changed, but sometimes that's the only option, is a poor plan. So if you find yourself in this situation where you know the decision has permanent repercussions and is something that can't be backtracked, this is where you throw all your mental energy and all of your decision-making processes and plans, because it's so critical that you get it right. Enjoy two-way doors, explore, and be careful of one-way doors. But don't stall either. So, with this one-way door or this two-way door, what direction will it head in? The next is the devil. To be frank, not the best card to end upon. It suggests detachment or a shadow self, perhaps some sort of restriction or limiting belief. It ties into the ether, the self-doubt of the journey. It suggests that, well, when it comes to this particular two-way door and one-way door scenario, you shouldn't doubt yourself too much. You should release some of these limiting beliefs that might make it difficult for you to make a decision. The good news is it's almost entirely voluntary, the difficulty that these people find themselves in. You can see that they got on the ride voluntarily. They chose to. They can choose to get off when it finishes, instead of being trapped in a circle of self-limitingness. So, I think that's what we need to see. We need to see an element of self-reflection that does not include self-doubt. I know that's easier said than done. But just try to remain focused on what things can be changed when decided, and what things can't be changed when decided. The key to your short-term future is how carefully you plan things. Good decisions now rather than great decisions later. Unless those decisions can't be changed. And then it's important to be correct. The cards have nothing more to tell you. I hope they at least come part way to answering your questions. Yes? You're most welcome. We'll probably meet again. I look forward to seeing what the cards have for you in the future. Safe journey. The ether. Interesting.